In this video, we will discuss the overview of the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, what caused the Holocaust and why were Jews targeted by Nazi Germany. The Holocaust was the systematic, state-sponsored persecution and murder of approximately 6 million Jewish people by Nazi Germany and its collaborators during World War II. It stands as one of the most horrific and important events in modern history because it demonstrated how centuries-old prejudice, combined with racist ideology, economic scapegoating, and totalitarian power, could escalate into industrialized genocide. Jewish people were the primary targets, viewed as a racial enemy, though millions of others, including Roma, disabled individuals, political opponents, and others, were also murdered. A key factor in why Jews were targeted was their perceived and actual economic success in German society, which bred deep resentment similar to patterns seen in other genocides. For instance, the perceived and actual economic success of the Armenian minority was a major catalyst for resentment and systematic plunder during the Armenian genocide. Likewise, in Sri Lanka, the Tamil minority's collaboration with the British during colonization created lasting ethnic tensions that contributed to later violence and genocide against them. These cases illustrate how minority success or perceived privilege can fuel majority backlash and atrocities. The Holocaust was not a sudden event, but the result of centuries of anti-Semitism, economic scapegoating, racist ideology, and political extremism. Anti-Semitism, often called the oldest hatred, refers to hostility toward Jews as a religious, ethnic, or racial group. Its roots extend back to antiquity. In the Roman Empire, Jews were viewed suspiciously for their monotheism, refusal to intermarry, observance of the Sabbath, and circumcision, practices that set them apart from pagan society. Roman writers like Juvenal and Cicero propagated early stereotypes of Jews as clannish or influential. After the crucifixion of Jesus in 33 AD by the Romans, Christian theology increasingly blamed Jews collectively for deicide. This myth, despite being false, fueled religious rivalry. Early church fathers and later medieval teachings portrayed Jews as having no further purpose after Christ's arrival, leading to their marginalization. Christians were forbidden from usury, lending money with interest, pushing Jews into money-lending roles out of economic necessity, which later bred resentment and stereotypes of greed. Throughout medieval Europe, anti-Semitism manifested in violence and exclusion. Jews faced forced segregation into ghettos, mandatory identifying markers like yellow badges or hats, and mass expulsions. England in 1290, France in 1306, parts of Germany in 1348, and Spain in 1492. They were scapegoated during crises, such as the Black Death, with false accusations of well poisoning, despite their communities sometimes faring better due to religious hygiene practices. Blood libels, like the 1144 case of William of Norwich, falsely claimed Jews ritually murdered Christian children. Economic stereotypes intensified over time. Jews were accused of controlling finance and exploiting Christians, even though their prominence in certain trades stemmed from restrictions barring them from other professions. Writers like Shakespeare reflected these tropes in characters such as Shylock. Pogroms in Eastern Europe during the 1800s involved violent attacks on Jewish communities, driven by conspiracy theories of secret influence. This long history of prejudice created fertile ground for later exploitation. Germany after World War I provided the perfect storm for radicalization. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh reparations, territorial losses, and war guilt on Germany, fostering national humiliation. Hyperinflation in the 1920s wiped out savings, followed by the Great Depression's massive unemployment. The fragile Weimar Republic faced political instability and fears of communism. Many Germans felt betrayed and sought scapegoats. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party capitalized on this discontent. Hitler blamed Jews for Germany's defeat in World War I, claiming they had undermined the war effort and profited from the chaos. Post-war economic collapse saw some Jewish individuals with international networks and financial acumen honed by historical restrictions acquire assets during hyperinflation and distress sales. Quotes like Sir Arthur Bryant's 1940 observations highlighted perceptions that Jews owned significant property and dominated banking, publishing, and media, less than 1% of the population, fueling resentment among those who lost everything. Nazi ideology centered on racial pseudoscience. Influenced by distorted interpretations of Darwin's survival of the fittest, thinkers promoted Aryan supremacy and viewed Jews as a racially inferior threat that could pollute German blood. This shifted anti-Semitism from primarily religious to racial grounds. Hitler portrayed Jews as the force behind both capitalism and communism, using them as a versatile scapegoat. Nazi propaganda dehumanized Jews as subhuman parasites, while the 1935 Nuremberg Laws stripped them of citizenship, banned intermarriage, and removed civil rights. From 1933, boycotts, book burnings, and early concentration camps began the persecution, escalating with Kristallnacht in 1938, marked by burned synagogues, destroyed shops, and mass arrests. World War II brought millions of Jews under Nazi control. They were confined to overcrowded ghettos with starvation and disease, then subjected to mass shootings by Einsatzgruppen after the 1941 invasion of the Soviet Union. The 1942 Wannsee Conference formalized the final solution, leading to death camps like Auschwitz, where victims were murdered on an industrial scale in gas chambers. Approximately 6 million Jews were killed. In 1945, Allied forces liberated the camps. The Nuremberg trials later held Nazi leaders accountable. The Holocaust's aftermath saw the 1948 founding of Israel and inspired the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Ultimately, it stands as a stark warning that prejudice, propaganda, and unchecked extremism can lead to genocide, reminding us to vigilantly defend human dignity and combat hatred in all its forms.